welcome to Daily Dispatch powered by HSBC. I'm Priya Shade, and joining me on this very interesting conversation is Arnav Kumar from Leap Scholar. Thank you very much, Arnav, for joining us today. I want to begin by talking to you a little bit about how the last couple of months have been. The pandemic has, in fact, accelerated growth for a lot of businesses out there. What's your journey been like?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me, Priya. I belong to a generation who has grown up reading TechCrunch and your stories. So great to be here. Diving into the question that you have, so definitely the past couple of, not just the months, but past couple of years have been very interesting, especially for all of edtech and fintech. And we have benefited from that wave as well. So we have always mentioned that the desire for Indian students to have a global career and a global education is very, very strong. So in some sense, as sort of during the pandemic, the whole online wave, like the whole wave of doing everything online kind of benefited us significantly because we remained the biggest providers of this service online, right? So all our products, we have always had a tech and product driven approach to this segment, and that has paid off dividends big time. So in fact, across all parts of our funnels, products, services, we saw a significant uptick in the past couple of years.
Right. Going forward in 2022, what's the kind of roadmap for you, or what plans, in fact, when you talk about the pillars of growth for Leap Scholar?
So we are a very, very young company. We are 2 years young, and 2022, there's so many dimensions of growth. We are just getting started. So right from expanding or deepening our product offerings to expanding geographies, both from a source and a destination point of view, I think that will be sort of a key focus. We have launched 5 products in the last year. So another focus area will be just sort of deepening those products to absolutely dominate the different categories that we work in. So lots of dimensions to sort of grow on.
But when you look at your top 2 categories, in fact, when you talk about overall growth, where do you see revenues coming in from, and where do you see maximum growth and traction?
Yeah, so we as a platform, so we provide end-to-end sort of support throughout the journey to a student who is sort of going abroad, right? So in fact, every part of this journey gets monetized. So as you might know, we run the largest community of Indian students going abroad. So that community itself has more than 1 million members. We in the last 1 year, we have had more than 1 million sort of members use our test prep products. We have in fact trained more than 150,000 students in the various tests required to go sort of abroad. So all parts of this value chain get monetized, right? From test prep to helping students with counseling services to helping students in their whole journey of doing their applications, SOPs, etc., and then financing and then careers. So actually growth from us comes from across all these segments. Having said that, financing remains a sort of big focus, and counseling services and test prep remains a big focus. You can think of this as 2 pillars of the business that we have. One is how to help students get into the best universities possible globally. And the second is how do you help them with financing and their careers after they've gotten that admit. And both of these actually provide us significant revenues.
Right. What kind of targets are you working on? Because when you talk to a lot of companies, they set short to mid-term targets in terms of number of, users on the platform, the kind of growth expectations. So what kind of targets have you set for yourself?
Sure. So as I mentioned, last year we had 1 million members on the community, and we had 1 million members use our test prep product. We want to double those numbers in this year. Last year, 65,000 students used one of the paid products from our platform. We want to take that to 150,000 this year.
Right. And in terms of this kind of aggressive growth that you're targeting, what kind of investment options are you looking at? Are you looking at some external sources of funding at this point?
So as a young startup which wants to dominate a category and build a lasting business, capital always sort of is helpful in helping you grow faster. We have grown very, very fast in the last couple of years, and we have raised substantial capital on the way. For example, last year we had sort of 2 rounds of financing, one in March and then again September. And we'll continue to sort of attract and sort of get capital for the growth that we are aiming at. So when it comes to financing, it's always like my theory is never say never. If you're getting the right kind of backers at the right kind of valuation, you should go for it, because building companies is hard.
No, so when you talk about financing, is there a ballpark in terms of what your investment requirement would be for 2022?
No, so we actually don't work that way. We are actually very, very well capitalized for a significant sort of amount of time. As I said, we raised 2 rounds of capital, and we are like a very, very cash efficient business with high gross margins. This is a beautiful business the segment that we are in. So the requirement for capital is actually not so much for keeping the business running. I think that on that metric we have a very, very long runway. We are very well capitalized. Most of the capital requirements usually are for growing even faster, launching new lines of sort of businesses. We see so much potential in this segment. We feel this segment is just getting started, and we constantly think of so much that we can do. But obviously, some of those things will need sort of a capital, and capital always makes your journey easier and faster. That's the framework that we use when we look at raising capital.
A final question before I let you go on revenues. What kind of revenues are you targeting? Is there some sort of guideline that you have in terms of what kind of growth you'd like to achieve?
No, so revenue numbers we generally don't share publicly. Yeah, it has many, many ramifications because of many things. But I've given you the sort of user numbers, and this is a very, very highly monetizable segment. Our LTV CAC ratios are beautiful. But revenues, probably it's too early. I'll wait to go for the IPO before we start disclosing numbers and giving guidance. So probably a couple of years away from that.
All right, Arnav, many thanks for joining us today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for your time.